What's up? Ghost Fictions is here and we're back again. This is a story where Izuku had a summoning quirk and married Saber. Izuku Midoriya has never had any special quirk since he was a kid. But what if not only does Izuku get a powerful quirk from his hero All Might, but the ability to summon past heroes from myths and legends? Join Deku as he and his team of heroic spirits become the greatest hero team of all time. But before we start, please consider subscribe to the channel and give this video a like. Don't forget to check the description for more informations and support the amazing author TheAzureKnight for writing this story. Now, let's get into the story. What is a hero? A fairy tale told by story. An ally of justice who helps those in need. A worker who performs duties for the sake of their homeland. Or a villain who unknowingly saved the world. Whether a hero is defined by those around him, by their own self-obligation or their own selfishness, such questions shall forever be a mystery. It all began in a small city of China, when a newborn infant displayed a rather bizarre ability emanate a light bulb glow from their body. Soon after, like an unknown plague, people all across the globe immediately began to exhibit superhero-like powers known today as quirks. This life-changing event brought about a great change in society. Then in turn gave rise to a new breed of criminals and vigilantes, which in turn evolved into villains and heroes. Fantasy became reality. At present 80% of the world's population consists of superhumans with special abilities. The world is in chaos. And a profession that everyone once only dreamed about entered the spotlight. Aldera Junior High, Musatafu, Japan. Inside the third-year classroom at a local high school, the students inside were all sitting inside their respective desks as their teacher prepares to hand out some paperwork. All right class, now listen up. Every student laid their eyes on the homeroom teacher. Now as third-year students, you ought to be thinking about your future career. The teacher held up the papers stacked together for all to see. Normally I should be handing these forms to each and every one of you. But the man suddenly tosses all the files out of the way. It's obvious that everyone here wants to become heroes, am I right? Yeah. The whole classroom roared with excitement as everyone raises their hands high while showing off their quirks. Yes, settle down everyone. Now it's against school rules to be using quirks here. Hey teach. Don't lump me with those other losers. Every student turns their attention towards a spiky blonde-haired boy with sharp red eyes, who is smugly slouched on his seat, his legs crossed on top of the desk. As if my quirk is anything like those awful stage effects. If they're lucky, one of them might be enlisted as sidekicks to some cluster D-lister. Such insult did not go underappreciated as most of the class raged in retaliation. The hell you just say? Get over yourself, asshole. You think you're better than us, Katsuki? Extras should act like extras, so shut up. The teacher immediately interrupted before the scene escalates into a brawl. Ah yes, Katsuki Bakugo. I assume that you intend to enter UA High School, am I correct? Wait, that guy is going to enter the national school. That school has a 4.2 acceptance rate. There's no way anyone can get accepted into that place. The boy, now known as Katsuki Bakugo, then leaped on top of his desk to confirm his intentions. That's right, I'm entering UA, you wanna know why? Bakugo gloated. Because I alone aced the mock tests. I'm the only one at this school who stands a chance at getting in. I'll even surpass All Might himself. That's right. I'll become the richest hero in the world. And the only place that is worthy of my ascension is UA High. That reminds me, Izuku Midoriya. You also wished to enter UA High School too, did you not? Katsuki and the rest of the class suddenly froze up as they all slowly turned to stare at the center of the desk. Where a meekly frail-looking boy with messy dark green hair and eyes with small freckles on the side of his cheek, who is sulking on his desk and slowly raises his head up. Well, the whole classroom abruptly bursts into a loud hysterical laughter. Wait, Midoriya. Are you serious? Good grades aren't enough to get you into the hero program, idiot. That's not necessarily true. Sure, there's no precedent, but… Boom, get real, Deku. Bakugo suddenly shouted as he slams his hands on Midoriya's desk, causing an explosion which destroys the desk and blows the other boy away. Did you honestly think that a quirkless loser like you can rub shoulders with me? The blonde boy threatens with both of his hands crackling in small sparks of fire, causing the green-haired boy to back away towards the corner. No, I wasn't trying to compete with you, Kaken. Midoriya tries to reason. It's been my dream to become a hero when I was little, and well. The boy hesitates, figuring out the right words to say. The truth is that my own quirk had just started to manifest yesterday, and I thought I might have a chance to enter UA High. And just like that, the entire classroom that was once filled with laughter and scorn had just gone deathly silent. Even Katsuki Bakugo, who was haughtily mocking Izuku Midoriya for his lack of quirk, stand motionless in shock, the sparks on his hand suddenly fade away. too stunned in his silence that only one word leaves his lips after a few seconds has passed. What? Yes. It's true. I finally have my own quirk now. The former quirkless then stood up. Look, it's right here on my hand. Izuku ushers everyone to gather around to take a closer look at his new quirk. On the back of his left hand lies 3 red marks, shaped into what looks like a smiling face with 2 rabbit-like ears on its head. At first, it would appear to look like a normal tattoo inked on his hand. But, upon closer observation, the tattoo would then start to pulse a bright red glow before returning to normal. This process is repeated every half-minute before it stopped permanently. Wow. Midoriya really did have a quirk. Are you sure about that? The glowing tattoo doesn't look impressive. Why? Yes. I'm sure that this is definitely my quirk. To tell you the truth, I'm still trying to figure out how it works. Izuku explained as more people joined in and bombarded him with questions. However, the only person who did not partake in the inquiry was Katsuki, who continued to stare at Izuku's left hand. Deku has a quirk. A thought spoken from Kaken's mind. That piece of shit Deku has a quirk. Unknown. Deep within the reverse side of the world. A world cut off from reality. Lies mysteries dwell within this unknown world where beings roam inside long after the age of gods has ended. One of these beings, a large dragon, is currently guarding a sphere holding great power. Patiently waiting for its beloved to come find the dragon sleeping soundlessly, never releasing its hold on the sphere. Within another place inside the reverse side of the world lies a paradise filled with greenery and clear beautiful skies. Another occupant within this utopia rests, a young girl laid upon the soft grass. Her white dress and loose blonde hair flowing along the small wind. She too is waiting for her own beloved to find her. Forever hoping and longing for each other. However, an unknown phenomenon began leak into this ethereal world, rousing the beings that were affected by the singularity. The sleeping girl is one of those affected by the unknown. And for the first time since her eternal slumber, the girl's eyes slowly opened to reveal greener eyes. Aldera Junior High, Musatafu, Japan. Deku, you worthless fuck. What the shit going on with your hand, huh? An enraged Bakugo is now holding the helpless Midoriya with one hand by the collar, another hand aimed to blow his head off. It was the end of class, signifying the near end of school, and after the teacher bids his students farewell. The top ace wastes no time and immediately grabbed the newly quirk boy, demanding for answers. Kaken. Please, let go. I'm the one asking questions, damn it. Katsuki violently shook the terrified Izuku. There's no way a piece of shit like you can ever get quirk. Ever since it was discovered that Midoriya had no quirk, Bakugo has made it his life's work to personally make the quirkless Deku's life a living hell. As Bakugo would sadistically demonize the defenseless Midoriya and the lowest humiliating abuse far beyond the vilest monster's standards. The discovery that a quirk has manifested from the same quirkless Deku was a challenge to his authority and Bakugo's point of view. This has to be some fucking prank. It has to be. You must have got this fake tattoo from some piss-ass shop, is that it? No. Midoriya snapped back, catching Bakugo off guard. Shocked at the fragile boy's sudden defiance. This tattoo is my quirk. I got it fair and square. Katsuki stares aghast at Izuku in a moment before growling and roughly letting him go as Izuku fell on all fours. But before the green-haired boy could get up, the blonde viciously stomped on his tattooed hand, causing a sudden yelp of pain as Bakugo grabs Midoriya by the hair and smashes his face as hard as he can on the hard floor. If I see you using your fucking quirk, I'm throwing you out of the highest goddamn building I could find, Deku. The angry Bakugo hissed as he releases Midoriya and storms out of the classroom. As he was nearing the exit, Bakugo notices a notebook written by Midoriya on top of one of the desks which read Hero Analysis number 13. He then swipes the notebook, destroys it with his quirk, and with all his strength threw it out of the window, before finally leaving the classroom, slamming the door shut. Oh. Izuku recovered as he stood up with his bruised hand and broken nose. Didn't Kaken knew that he would get in trouble if the teachers caught him doing something like this? The boy thought as he gathers his things and leaves to find his missing notebook. As he took out his handkerchief to cover his bleeding nose, Izuku reminisces about his past and the events occurring yesterday. Izuku was child back when his mother was preparing to show an old video clip that was taken. The young Midoriya was hyperactively moving his head back and forth, waiting for the video to start. Again. It's almost like you're adding 10,000 views on this old video, Izuku, it's almost scary. Inko Midoriya said, clicking the mouse on the thumbnail. The video shows the remains of the disaster. Large piles of rubble and broken vehicles had been scattered everywhere. The survivors have been carrying the injured out of danger. Who is that man? He just saved 100 people already in less than 10 minutes. Wait. Here he comes again. A booming laughter grabs the attention of the cameraman as he zooms in towards the source of the voice. Rising on top of the ruined bus is a large muscular man in his blue bodysuit, carrying a few more civilians on his arms and shoulders. His swept-back blonde hair with two large tufts at the front, sticking up on top of his head. And a huge smile spread across his face despite suffering a few minor injuries. Ha. 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 Fear not, citizens. For I am here. The large man shouted with a tone of complete confidence. Just who is that man rescuing those people on the screen, you ask? Well. This heroic-looking individual just happens to be none other than All Might. Number 1. Hero, and the symbol of peace. His very presence marks a decrease on villain-related activities. It's because of those feats that All Might has gained the fame, love and support from all who were saved and inspired by that man. There's not a single person on Earth who doesn't know All Might's name. He was everything every child has aspired to be, and the young Izuku Midoriya is one of those children. Yeah. When I get my quirk, I'm going to be a hero just like All Might. That was the proclamation the boy has declared. However, you cannot be a hero. The doctor bluntly told him straight at his face, brutally shattering Izuku's hopes and dreams. It turns out that ever since its first discovery, that people are most likely to have powers if they only have one joints in their legs, since their rest of the leg has already evolved. Izuku has 2 joints in his legs. There was no hope for him to ever develop a quirk. No hope for him to ever become a hero. This simple fact has left Izuku heartbroken beyond repair. His mother, unable to do anything but helplessly watches her son despairs at his quirklessness. That was years ago. Then one day ago on this exact morning, the unexpected happened. Izuku was finishing brushing his teeth inside the bathroom. Just after he rinsed his mouth clean, he takes a look on the All Might toothpaste he was holding on his hand. Life wasn't the same anymore ever since Izuku discovered he was quirkless. His best friend Kaken started bullying him when he found out he can't produce a quirk. And soon after, all the students in his school joined in and began picking on him. The only reason none of the adults found out is because he couldn't bring himself to tell on his former friend. If only I had a quirk. Izuku sighed to himself. None of his misfortune would have happened if he had a quirk. At this point, the quirkless Deku did not care if he has a useless quirk. He just wanted his own quirk. Any kind of quirk would do. Unaware that his wish is about to get granted, Izuku then proceeds to open the shower. Just as his left hand grasps and turns on the shower lever, Izuku suddenly felt a burning pain of his hand and winces as he let go and retracts his arm. Ah! Izuku let out a quiet gasp as he rubs his hand on the pain spot that he felt on the back of his other hand. When he gets a clear view on his backhand, Izuku becomes puzzled as he gets a clear view on the weird red marks that are etched on his skin. A tattoo. Izuku rubs his eyes to check if this wasn't his imagination. The young boy clearly did not recall buying himself a red tattoo. Well, there are indeed a few hardcore fans who had an All Might tattoo on their bodies. Izuku was not one of those fans. The young boy continues to stare at this red marking on his hand, trying to figure out why it got stuck here. When Izuku let out a surprised yelp as his widened eyes caught something he did not expect to see. Realization dawned on his head. Mom. A massive shout interrupted Inko as turns Izuku ran towards the entrance to the kitchen, the boy's face full of mixed emotions. Huh. Inko was in the middle of cooking to scrambled eggs. Izuku, what are yo? Look, Mom. Izuku interrupted, showing off his backhand to his mother. I got it. I finally got it. Izuku, what are talking about? Wait. Is that a tattoo? Izuku. Where did you get this? Inko trailed off when she notices her son's tattoo began glowing a red pulse. Her eyes beginning to water, her legs trembling. Is it? Really? Yes, Mom. Izuku confirmed. His own eyes tearing up as his mother grabs a hold of his hand to get a closer look. Checking if it's really there. It's my quirk. After that, they both check into the doctor to analyze and confirm that his quirk had been developed. What shocked Izuku Midoriya though, was that the doctor couldn't confirm if the tattoo is really a mutant type quirk or a regular tattoo. Explaining that he had never seen that kind of quirk before. So, it was decided that Izuku Midoriya's tattoo shall be marked as an abnormal mutant type quirk. Izuku couldn't care less about any of that stuff. He finally got his own quirk. That meant that he can finally become a hero. A hero like All Might. Midoriya could have been more blessed. His life is now turning for the better. Kaken would stop bullying him and they could become friends again. They even get to go to UA High School together. The same school All Might went to. But instead Kaken got angry and beat up Deku even more harshly than before. Threatening to murder him if he used his quirk again. Musatafu, Japan. I really don't get you sometimes, Kaken. Midoriya mummers. His nose stopped bleeding after a while. Now the middle schooler is now walking through some part of town. As he was entering the tunnel, Izuku gazes upon the red marking on the back of his left hand. Despite getting his own quirk, he still couldn't figure out what else it does other than flashing a red light out of his tattoo. Is a glowing tattoo enough to make him a hero? No. He already has own quirk so far, there's still hope for him yet. The young Midoriya made a promise to himself that day. That no matter what anyone else says he will have to believe in himself. Even if his quirk is useless, Izuku will keep on smiling just like All Might. He then mimics his idol, laughing the same way as All Might. As he was nearing the end of the tunnel, Izuku hears something wet behind him. When he turns around, his face suddenly turns pale as a green blob starts growing and rising. A pair of eyes and huge teeth pops out, showing off an unnerving grin. "Hi kid." The sludge monster spoke and gurgles. "That's a nice body you have there. A villain." His whole body burst a violent shiver. His fear kicking into overdrive. Izuku immediately turns tail and began to run as far away as he could. Unfortunately, the sludge villain moved in faster than he could react. And it quickly pinned Midoriya down, clogging his mouth and nose. "Don't worry, I'm not going to hurt you or anything, I'm just going to borrow your body for a little while." Deprived of oxygen, Izuku can only futilely claw at the green substance. Both he and the monster failed to notice red marks on his hand flashing faster than normal. "Don't bother trying, it's not going to work. My body is made out of fluid, you see. Now you're a real hero, you saved me the trouble back there. To tell you the truth, I wasn't expecting him to be around town. I gotta bail out fast before he catches up. Can't breathe. Body getting weaker." Izuku feels the last of his energy leave him. His eyes begun to blur. This isn't fair. He finally has his own quirk now. Why did this have to happen? The sludge is nearly enveloping the rest of his body, leaving only his hair and eye open. His last remaining eye darting around, searching for a sign. When far from the other side of the tunnel where he came from, his eye spotted a strange glowing blue circle with carvings on the ground. No. Without even thinking, he unconsciously reaches his free hand towards the circle. Someone. The tattoo on his free hand and the circle glowing even brighter than before. Please. A single tear forms on his eye before squeezing shut in preparation for the worst. Help. Uncount. Deep within the paradise on the reverse side of the world. The same blonde girl in white who has been previously resting within the green fields now stands fully awake. Her weary green eyes searches around the land for any disturbances. Something has awoken her, that much she knew. The girl's mind is clouded with suspicion when suddenly she let out a gasp. Both her hands covering her chest when she felt a familiar sensation deep inside her soul. She was being summoned. But that shouldn't be possible. She thought she had previously ended her contract when she had decided to destroy the one thing she had been fighting for. The very same thing that had been corrupted beyond purification. But why? Why was she being summoned right here, out of all places? No. Then she heard it. Someone. It was a voice. A child's voice. A voice which sounded like a young boy. Please. That is when it hit her. She quickly figured out what is going on. The previous circumstance regarding her situation will have to be put on hold. She knew that tone all too well. If the girl was being summoned like this, if there was a voice calling out to her in here, it can only mean one thing. Help. And help she shall. Quickly channeling her prana, the girl's white dress began shapeshifting in a bright light. And in its place, the girl now wears a royal dress fitted inside a set of battle armor. Her hair had been tied as well. Another bright light momentarily blinds her vision in a second before fading away to reveal a sword sheathed inside a scabbard floating in front of her. She knew those two items all too well. Out of all the armaments at her disposal, it was those same treasures that she valued the most. And thus, the once and future king took hold of Excalibur and Avalon, leaving the land with the same name as the sacred scabbard. Desolate, once more. Musatafu, Japan. The sludge villain has nearly consumed its latest prey when it suddenly felt a chill up its slime. Did that bastard catch up already? A sudden gust of wind slams into the pile of goop so hard its body begins to expand. What the H? What the hell, Arkansas? The sludge villain quickly broke apart. Its body parts splattering in all directions and freeing the trapped Izuku Midoriya out of the tunnel. He was able to stay conscious enough to land on his butt to cough and gasp a large amount of fresh air he was previously depraved from. What was that? Izuku wheezing through his breaths. Did a pro hero just showed up and saved me all of the... I am the servant of the Saber class. Midoriya froze as a feminine voice reached his ears. And I have come in accordance to your summons. Izuku slowly turns to the source of the voice, his rear and hands planted on the ground. Your fate is my fate. Your destiny is my duty. Thus, your will is my command. Walking out of the tunnel is a girl looking a year older than him. Golden blonde hair which was tied into a bun at the back. A blue ribbon holding her hair together. Her jade eyes staring straight at him. In her garb, she is wearing pieces of medieval armor fitted on her blue dress. Her chest armor is etched in blue markings. The female knight looked like she didn't have a sword with her. But Izuku couldn't help but suspect she is hiding something on her right hand. And thus, I ask of you. The sunlight reflects her majestic form as she steps from within the dark tunnel and into the outside blaze, shining her with such beauty that even the likes Mount Lady and Midnight pale in comparison. But the strangest of them all is the knight's question towards the quirkless Deku. Are you my master? Hero analysis number 14. The once and future king. True name. Artoria Pendragon. Class. Saber. Alignment. Lawful good. Parameter. Strength. B. Endurance. C. Agility. C. Mana. B. Luck. B. NP. A. Class skills. Magic resistance. A. Riding. B. Personal skills. Charisma. B. Instinct. A. Mana burst. A. Noble phantasm. Avalon, barrier. X. Excalibur, anti-fortress. A++. Invisible air, anti-unit. C. Izuku's notes. Man, who would have thought that King Arthur is actually a girl? On the other hand, I'm surprised I could completely write her stat sheets. Saber did tell me that all masters have an ability to see their and other servant status. For a knight, Saber is really good at swordsmanship. She also has dragon blood which gives her an extra boost of mana. Unfortunately, that makes her completely vulnerable to dragon-slaying quirks. All in all, her stance on chivalry and honorable nature makes her an ideal hero like All Might. Though, she does tend get terrifyingly competitive sometimes. Musatafu, Japan. The sunlight shines upon the knight and the boy she had rescued at the tunnel's exit. The servant of the sword waits for the answer given to her from the master who has summoned her into this realm. The chosen master, however, can only stare dumbfounded as savior. Skewed thoughts scrambling on the quirkless boy instead. Girl. Midoriya choked. His head shaking and his cheeks steaming red. There's a girl here. A girl right here. A girl my age right in front of me. And she's talking to me. A girl my age is in front of me, and she's talking to me. I'm good but never spoken to the figure Mijin Nujula Stalky. Master. The knight asked, slightly tilting her head in confusion. Go wait with what? The young boy rambling, before quickly compassing himself and standing up. Imian. Thank you very much for saving me. I am gratefully in your debt, ma'am. Izuku shouted as respectfully as he can, bowing his head repeatedly in the process. Your gratitude is unnecessary but appreciated nonetheless. The girl shook her head. As my master, it is a servant's sworn duty to place your needs above our own. Such is the contract between the one who has summoned us and the one who has answered your call. Oh. Right. I am so very so. Wait. What do you mean by master? Izuku asked, not quite getting the last one. Oh. Weren't you the one who has called upon me, master? The knight asked. Or has this summoning had been unintentional on your? Wait. Can you try to make at least a bit amount of sense? Where did you come from? And why do you keep calling me master? I see. Saber mused. It would appear that her master is unaware of servants and Holy Grail wars. Not that she minds, of course, she quite preferred having people like him as her master. It felt soothing to have someone who is naive but at the same time pure and good at heart. Very well, I shall explain everything from the beginning, so please listen carefully. The servant requesting her master's immediate attention. I am what is called a heroic spirit. Heroic spirits are former living beings whose renowned actions made a life-changing effect upon history. Those achievements were so great they were retold in myth and legends. Upon death, the deeds they have accomplished were then recorded and stored into a special storage within the afterlife called the Throne of Heroes. In time, the Throne of Heroes would create a copy of the required heroic spirit and transfer its data through a summoning ritual. Heroic spirits. Izuku repeated. As in, heroes of old. There was a term among the Hero Society about how people from history, myths and legends perform great feats of heroism long before the quirk phenomenon ever began. The pro-heroes today and anyone who read about them refer to those people as heroes of old. And the girl standing in front of him claimed to be one of them. A real hero of old. Brought back from the dead. Correct, I am glad to see you were paying attention. Now, as I was saying, the ritual designed to call upon us heroic spirits are then summoned into powerful spirits called servants. We servants are to act as familiars in service to the ones who has summoned us called masters. There are 7 classes that each servant is summoned into. The 3 knight classes belong to the servants, Saber, Lancer, and Archer. While the 4 cavalry classes goes to the servants, Rider, Caster, Assassin, and Berserker. I am of the class of Saber, heroic spirit of the sword. Servants under the Saber class are said to wield swords as their primary weapon. Thus, we Sabers are known to be most powerful and sought out of the 7 servant class. As such, you, my master who has called upon me into your service, shall address to me as Saber. There. Saber finishes in satisfaction. I believe this explanation is more than enough for your understanding. No way. Izuku was awed. Everything Saber told him was so unbelievably crazy it came out of some visual novel. Heroes of old who came back to life as servants. And now one of them claims to be his servant. Just how is this possible? Izuku doesn't even know how to. Wait a minute. The quirk on his hand. How could he not notice it earlier? Izuku quickly remembers back when the villain attacked him. There was a burning pain on the back of his left hand. And he saw his quirk glowing even brighter. Izuku then takes a good look at his quirk at the back of his hand. Pieces of the puzzle finally coming together. Of course, his face slowly brightens. It all makes sense now. Somehow my quirk must have activated and it brought you here. If what you say about heroic spirits are true then, that would mean that my quirk can summon actual heroes. Yes. I finally figured out how my quirk works now. And it can bring back to life real heroes of old. I knew my quirk was special. Pardon me for interrupting master, but your command seals is not a quirk. Ack. Midoriya froze as his ears heard a certain line he did not want to hear. Wait. But I thought. Didn't you say? Master, I shall repeat this again. Saber reaffirming her words. Command seals are not quirks. They are a symbol of a master's authority over the servants they have established a contract with. The red marks on your hand are designed to instill absolute obedience. There are only 3 seals each master possesses. And if you were to give me an order, then I would be compelled to obey that order regardless. In exchange for 1 seal of course. Should all 3 command seals be depleted, then the contract established between us shall end. And unless I find another master to forge a new contact with, I too will soon depart from this world. So, these red marks aren't quirks. The color slowly fading away from Izuku's face. Does that mean? Am I still quirkless? Despair began crawling back towards Midoriya. His whole world falling apart yet again just like it happened last time. Meanwhile the servant Saber is observing her new master. Not at his change of behavior but something suspicious within the boy. But, first things first. Master. If I may ask, are you perhaps one of those individuals who do not possess a quirk? And like a final nail hammered to a coffin, the quirkless boy slumped on the ground, wailing out pathetically as he cries out tears like a waterfall. Master. Please calm yourself. I am deeply sorry if what I have said earlier sounded offensive. I should have never asked something personal. Her pleas did manage to calm the crying Izuku as he realizes what he was doing. Huh. And no, it's alright. Izuku sniffed, wiping out the tears from his eyes. It's not your fault, you were just trying to explain. Slightly embarrassed at his stunt, Izuku then stood back up. So, if I'm your master then, would you really do everything that I say? It is what I say. Saber said. And so, I shall say this again. I am your servant Saber, you may not possess a quirk, but you are my master. Summoning a heroic spirit is a great achievement on its own, you should be proud of that. Saber then moves her hands on the front. Laying her hands on top of each other as if she were holding a sword. Whatever duty you wish for me to accomplish, then I shall fulfill that role as per contract between master and servant. So long as my code of chivalry can allow. The way Saber smiled at Izuku caused him to flush as he turns his head away, clearly not used to talking to girls his age. Oh thanks. Well if it's not too much to ask then, would you stop calling me master? It's kind of uncomfortable. A simple request. Very well, then what should I be naming you as? Huh. Midoriya blinked. Then it hit him. Oh my god, I forgot to tell her my name. I am so stupid. He then composed himself. Now's not the time to panic, he still got this. And my name is Izuku. Izuku Midoriya. Izuku Midoriya. Saber repeated the name. Then I shall call you Izuku. Feeling nostalgic, the servant then turns her back on Izuku to take a look around her surroundings. Yes, the sound of that is quite pleasing to my ears. After gazing upon the daylight, she finally turns to face him again. If I may, can you hold still for a second Izuku? Saber asked. Surprising Izuku as she walks towards him. It would not take long, I assure you. Sure. Wondering what Saber's planning to do next. Izuku gets his answer when her left gauntlet magically disappears just as her bare hand lands on his chest. Saber's eyes were closed and in deep concentration. Oh why Washington you waha. Izuku's whole face turns steaming red. But his flushed expression quickly turns to normal when Saber quickly retracts her hand with a gasp, she then stares at him, eyes widened. It was almost like she saw a ghost villain. It can't be, Izuku. Saber expression quickly changed from shock to serious when turns her head back to the tunnel. Specifically eyeing the sword lit inside. The servant of the sword then moved in front of her master. Master? Something is approaching us. Saber alerted. raising her hands forward as if imitating a sword stance. Although surprised, Izuku decides to stay behind Saber as he looks towards his servant's direction. Is it another villain? Both master and servant tensed up as they continue to stare at the sewer lid. However, as the near half minutes pass, it looks like nothing is going to happen. Clang, the sewer lid suddenly flew up in the air. A fisted arm sticked out before retracting back. Then a large muscular man with two blonde tufts sticking on top of his head, wearing a white shirt and green cargo pants, began climbing out of the sewer with a shopping bag held on his hands. Have no fear. The man shouted with a huge smile plastered on his shadowed face. For I am. Just as he was about to spring into action, the man quickly notices the splattered remains of the villain he was trying to catch, stuck all over at the end of the tunnel. Standing outside of the tunnel where more goop is splattered, was a male slack-jawed middle schooler and a startled female knight. Ah la la la. Izuku croaked, his wide eyes swirling with emotion. The vision of the one hero he did not expect to see. Well. Would you look at that? The muscular man looks around the green substance which has been stuck around the surface before focusing his gaze upon the knight. You there, young lady. The large man pointed at Saber before closing the distance towards her faster than the human body can move. What are you? A hero? A student? A sidekick? A vigilante perhaps? Either way. I should be thanking you for taking care of this villain for me. Usually I pay more attention to keeping bystanders safe. But it turns out that the city's sewer system is pretty difficult to navigate. Ha. 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 Ha ha ha. Meanwhile, Saber was taken aback by the larger man. Oh. You're welcome. I guess. I'm sorry, but who are you? Guys. Izuku looked at Saber with a crazed expression on his face before grabbing both her shoulders to glare at his servant dead in the eye. You. Do. Not. Know. Who. All. Might. Is. All Might is the greatest superhero in the entire world. The #1 hero. A symbol of peace. He appeared in every social media and the planets of Edmonyansifliv's every villain. Izuku was so caught up in his rambling that he violently shook Saber so hard into the brink of unconsciousness. The symbol of peace humored at the scene in front of him, decided it was time to interfere. Alright, young man. I think she got the idea, now let her go, you're going to hurt the young lady. All Might placed a hand on Izuku's shoulder. He stopped his shaking to look at his hero for a moment before turning back to look at Saber, whose head had dropped and eyes completely dizzy. The master of Saber grew pale when he realized what he had done. Oh my god, Saber. I'm so sorry. Are you alright? Can you hear me? How many fingers am I holding? Later. Excellent. All Might shouted as he held a 2-liter bottle on his hands. Now I have captured the villain. Saber doesn't seem impressed. Izuku, however, can't help but ogle at how cool All Might is being. Man, I can't believe All Might is really here, he looks so much cooler in person. No wait. I can't him leave without an autograph. Izuku searches himself to find his notebook before eventually finding it on the ground floor. Wait. All Might, before you go, please sign my note. When he opened his book, Izuku shrieked in excitement. He already did. Thank you so much. This will be an heirloom. A family treasure passed out for generations to come. Izuku bowed repeatedly once again, though this time there was more force in his repeated bows. With All Might giving his fan a thumbs up. Welp. I gotta take this guy to the police so they can take care of them. You two take of yourselves. Stay out of trouble. The servant of the sword nodded back. Indeed. It was an honor to meet you in person, All Might. Izuku, however, has much more questions he wanted to ask. Wait. You're going to leave already? Pro heroes are always constantly fighting time as well as enemies. All Might said before squatting down and preparing to take off. And like a rocket blasting up toward space, All Might jumped high towards the far skies. Thank you for your continued support. What a strange man. Saber mused as she watched the pro hero soon disappear from the skies. It was the second time she met someone like him. The first time was with a rider of the Fourth Grail War, a man calling himself the King of Conquerors, Iskander. But now is not the time to reminisce the past. There is much to be discussed with her new master. Now then, I would like to discuss with you, Abo. When Saber turns to face Izuku, she noticed that he is nowhere to be found. When she looks around for any signs of her master, the servant realizes that she has been left all alone in the middle of town. Izuku. Just where did her master go? Hey, what do you think you're doing, kid? Let go. I love my fans, but this is too much. All Might was currently flying towards the police station. Of course, the pro hero didn't expect that the same boy would be tagging along. Now All Might is struggling to get him off his leg. Hold on, we're flying. If I let go, I'll die. Midoriya screamed, clinging onto All Might's leg for dear life. All Might suddenly stopped struggling. Oh, right, I forgot. There's a lot of questions I wanted to ask you personally. Please. You're my all-time favorite hero. Okay. Okay. I get it. Just keep your eyes and mouth shut. Damn it. I don't have time for this. All Might cursed as he looked around for a safe place to land. He then began to cough a little bit of blood from his mouth. Somewhere in town. Deep within the back alley, somewhere in town, lies a bottle laying in the middle of the ground. However, what all the passers-by didn't realize is that inside the bottle lies a villain regaining consciousness. Where am I? The eyes inside the bottle drift open. It remembered robbing the bank, then running into All Might. And then the No. 1 hero started chasing it down the sewers. Then it exited the sewers to hide inside the schoolboy's body. But what happened then it clicked. Of course. The sludge villain finally remembers what happened at the tunnel. It was that girl. She's the reason I'm stuck inside a bottle. Fury begin to rise as sludge villain remembers how that girl in a blue dress and armor interrupted its meal by using some quirk to knock it out cold. I swear when I get out, I'm going to find that little brat. Then a perverted thought crossed its sick mind. And when I get my slimy hands on her I'm gonna kick to a bottle interrupted whatever the sludge villain was trying to say. The bottle flying far away. Man, can't you give it a break, Kitsuki? So, what if Midoriya has a quirk? It's probably useless anyway. Yeah, that stunt back at school was a little overboard even for you. Weren't you two friends since you were kids? Two goons were following a rather grumpy Bakugo into an alley. Ever since Midoriya revealed he has a quirk, Bakugo was getting more angrier to the point that he nearly snapped at the other students and teachers. First, Deku doesn't deserve to have a quirk. And second, I would never consider that damn nerd to be my FFFFF friend. Bakugo spat out in disgust as he was forced to utter that horrid tone. Just thinking about Deku and his goddamn dreams. And worse. Deku getting a quirk. It makes me. The can on Bakugo's hand began to boil and pop into a burnt crisp. It makes me. The burnt can pops once again, this time into tiny ashes, as his hand grips hard at the thought of Deku getting a quirk. 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 His rage couldn't take it anymore. The simple thought that Izuku Midoriya acquired his own quirk proved too much for his cracked ego to handle. Boom, in a blind fury, the screaming Bakugo swung his right hand hard into a wall. An explosive crater was formed on the concrete wall he nearly destroyed. Damn you, Deku. Bakugo heavily wheezed. His breathing out of control. Why the hell do you had to have a goddamn quirk? Why can't you just stay quirkless instead, goddammit? Bakugo's whole face is pinkishly red with rage. Both of his eyes are completely bloodshot. The large vein on his forehead looked like it was about to burst out blood. And what the hell are you two idiots looking at, huh? Bakugo shouted at the two goons backing away in fear. Their shaking hands are pointing at something behind him. It wasn't Bakugo that they were afraid of. Hey, a nice body with a quirk. Rooftop. All Might and Izuku managed to land safely on the rooftop of the building, with Izuku still trembling due to nearly falling almost 80 feet off the sky and into his death. Not very a smart move. Bang on the door for a while, someone will let you in. Now. I gotta go. All Might said as he walked towards the edge of the roof. Wait. Not yet. Izuku recovered to reach out towards All Might. I want to know. Nope. No time. Leaving now. All Might interrupted. Clearly, not in the mood to talk. Is it possible to become a hero even if I don't have a quirk? All Might suddenly stopped moving. I'm a normal kid without any powers. Izuku began to explain. Then one day, I suddenly have this tattoo on my hand. He then gazes upon the 3 red marks etched on his back left hand. Saber told me that they're called command seals. I didn't know how it works at first, but when that villain attacked me it started glowing, and then Saber appeared out of nowhere and took out that villain easily. All Might still remained silent. She told me she's a heroic spirit. A Saber class servant. She even asked if I was her master, but Izuku trailed off, struggling with his next words. But even she told me that command seals are not quirks. All Might soon turns his head slightly. Heroic spirit. Are you saying you summoned a hero of old GRK? The pro hero hunched over in pain. No. Not now. Steam began pouring out of the larger man's body. Izuku didn't seem to notice the steam coming out of All Might and continued talking. People think I don't have a chance, that not having powers makes me a weakling. But that makes me want to prove them wrong. Ever since I was a kid, I thought that saving people is the coolest thing a hero can do. I want people to see my fearless smile and feel safe. And be the kind of hero everyone in the world looks up to, just like you. Izuku finally turns his head up to gaze at his idol. Izuku's face suddenly froze. Instead of the big muscular All Might, standing in front of Izuku now is a scrawny skinny-like man wearing baggy clothing. His previous tufts which were sticking up like an antenna are now loosely hanging down. Izuku immediately began to freak out. All Might. What happened to you? You look so thin. Wait a minute. Are you an impostor? Why are you wearing All Might's clothes? That's because I am All Mig Blarg. Blood began spilling out from the skeletal man's mouth. No. That's impossible. You know those guys who like to suck up their gut at the pool? The skinny All Might asked as he was wiping the blood off his mouth. I'm one of them. This can't be real. No. The shaking Izuku Midoriya is at a disbelief. It can't be. All Might is a giant of a man who saves everyone. He defeats all obstacles and wins the day with a fearless smile. The exposed All Might takes a deep sigh. There's plenty of fear behind that smile. He then decides to take a seat. Look, I don't want you telling everyone about what you saw, okay? All Might then lifts his shirt in which Izuku flinched at what he saw. At the upper left side of his abdomen lies a whole X-scar penetrated into his body. Pretty gross, huh? I got this in a fight 5 years ago. My respiratory system was basically destroyed, doctors had to remove my stomach. All those surgeries I had was too much for my body to take. Right now, I can only do hero work for about 3 hours a day. The rest of the time, this is what I look like. 5 years ago. Izuku said. Was it that fight with Toxic Chainsaw? So, you've paid attention. I'm impressed. All Might clenched his fist. But no, that guy wasn't responsible for my injuries. Most of the world never heard of this fight because I asked the higher-ups not to reveal this. All Might then held his head up high. I'm supposed to be All Might, the symbol of peace. The no. One hero who fearlessly swoops in to save the day with a huge smile on his face. But honestly, the so-called symbol of peace looks at his fragile hand and slowly closes it. I'm only smiling to shake off that fear and pressure inside of me. A pro hero must be willing to put their own life on the line. Because there will always be some villains that cannot be stopped without brute force. And just because you can summon some hero doesn't automatically make you one. He then sets his gaze hard upon Izuku Midoriya. From the way I see you. His sight staring right through the boy's own. There's no way you can become a hero without a quirk. And just like a bullet piercing though the heart. Izuku Midoriya's whole body nearly froze up upon hearing his answer. If you truly want to help, you could always become a police officer. After saying his piece, All Might then stood up and walked towards the rooftop entrance. It's not a popular profession but it helps. The scrawny man opens the door, but before he can enter. It's not wrong to dream, kid. All Might turned his head slightly. But sometimes, you have to learn the reality of that dream. The door then slammed shut. Leaving Izuku Midoriya all alone on top of the building. For a few minutes, the quirkless Deku just stood motionlessly. Never moving away from his spot. However. Boom. On the way down, All Might is now walking down the stairs. Resuming his small trip to the police station. Okay, let's get you down to the station. The pro hero reaches to his pocket only to find the bottle is missing. He then checks his other pocket only then to find it empty. Wait. Where the hell did I put? Boom. All Might suddenly turned his head towards the window. A trail of smoke rising from the distance. Oh no. In the middle of the city. The heroic spirit of the sword, servant Saber, is currently moving through the streets in search for her missing master. The servant is currently wearing her old white shirt and blue skirt, which has been with her much to her surprise. For the past hour Saber has been looking for Izuku within the city. Asking a few people along the way if they had seen a green-haired boy wearing a school uniform, only to find out that they had seen no such thing. Though she had not given up her search, Saber had sometimes stopped to marvel at the few oddly dressed individuals passing by at broad daylight. One of them being a colossal woman wearing a skin-tight bodysuit and a purple mask with horns, posing in front of a large group of cameramen. Pro heroes. Saber had muttered the title given to these people. The information she had received when arriving to this world informs her that humanity has gained supernatural-like abilities called quirks. Their appearance has since marked a great change within the economic society. However, it also gave rise empowered criminals called villains. Thus, another empowered group called heroes are assembled to combat the growing threat. It would also appear that the pro heroes here would not only gain government pay, but also celebrity status. What would Shiru think if he were in the world filled with heroes? A thought crossed her mind as the servant enters the shopping district. In this world, abilities such as magecraft do not exist here. As such, organizations such as the Mage Association and the Holy Church are non-existent. There was no need for Saber to hide her identity. But at the same time, there is no Holy Grail war to be held here. Was Saber the only servant summoned here? Or were the other servants summoned into the same situation as her? And why did her master Izuku Midoriya boom? An explosion suddenly erupted within the district, enveloping Saber and the rest of the civilians unlucky to be inside the burning smoke. Sounds of coughing were heard inside the smog. Then a flash of light shined in the middle of the smoke, followed by a burst of wind clearing out the hazardous smoke, giving the trapped victims fresh air to breathe. At the center of the area, Saber, now clad in her battle armor, can only glare at the source of this act of terrorism. What is boom? The servant was forced to cover her face as another explosive blast rushed through her. When Saber recovered, anger began to rise as the burning flames engulfed the district around her. More fleeing people ran past by the servant as they attempt to escape the district. Those who cannot escape lay injured amongst the fire. One of the injured is a crying little girl sitting dangerously close to the flames. A damaged sign began to detach itself. But before the falling rubble would collapse on top of the girl, a blue blur rushes through the crashing sign. The dust began to clear out, revealing Saber crouching down, held in her arms as same child who had stopped crying, and raises her head to look at her savior. Saber gently patted the girl's head. "Do not fret, you are safe now." Saber smiles kindly at the girl she saved. The little girl nodded as the servant allowed her to flee with the rest of the civilians. Saber then shifts her focus towards the source of the fire deeper within the district. The servant's face hardens once again as more people flee past her. Whoever had the gall to harm the innocent and defenseless, the King of Knights, Artoria Pendragon, shall see to it that this crime shall not go unpunished. Meanwhile, the weakened and exhausted All Might ran at the back of the crowd of people watching. The pro heroes who had arrived on the scene aren't faring well against the exploding sludge villain. "I must have dropped it in the air." All Might cursed himself for his own recklessness. He had been so focused on his limit that he had neglected to make sure the villain inside the bottle was secured on his pocket. And now the boy taken hostage by the villain is paying the price. How pathetic. The same boy absorbed by the sludge villain is still struggling to break free. "Damn it, let go. You're going to regret grabbing me." Kitsuki Bakugo shouted as he tried to use his explosive quirk to break free. The sludge villain, however, remained unaffected as it simply continues to absorb Kitsuki. Such power. I really hit the jackpot. With a quirk like yours under my control, I could even beat All Might with one punch. Whoa. Is that some hardcore villain? You can do it, pro heroes. Go get him. Despite getting cheers of support from the onlookers, none of the pro heroes has the required quirk to eliminate the villain and rescue the hostage. "I'm sorry, but I need to enter at 2 where if I'm going to enter here," Mount Lady said, her leg unable to fit on the single-line street. Kamui Wood sprinted across the district, carrying with him the 2 delinquents and a few more civilians. Fire and wood don't exactly make a good combination. "I'll let someone else stop this guy. Don't look at me, I got my hands full over here." Backdraft complained as he put out the fire, a geyser of water spreading out from his arms and hose attached on his back. "Where are those fire trucks? Can you guys get to him?" Death Arms and 2 other pro heroes are attempting to fight off the sludge villain. But even they had trouble keeping it back. Can't get a grip on its weird body. Plus, that kid's quirk is causing explosions left and right. It's like a minefield out here. We've got to rally and knock it out of the park somehow. The sludge villain finishes absorbing Bakugo and prepares to attack by raising its arm. Watch out. Just as the green hand attempts to slam on the pro heroes, a certain blue knight rushes on the side of the building to stop and launch herself from the wall to intercept the sludge villain's attack by landing in front of the pro heroes and swing her invisible sword to slap away the green substance. All who witness her entrance can only stop and stare at the blonde girl standing defiantly between the gawking pro heroes standing behind her back. And the surprised villain shifting its full attention on the knight standing on the front. "You." The sludge villain recognized the blue knight immediately. "I know you. You're that girl who interrupted and knocked me out." The witnessing pro heroes are left confused by her connection to the sludge villain except All Might, who is eyeing the same girl he met from behind the crowd. "I know that girl before." All Might's eyes widening as he stares at the tied bun with a blue ribbon at the back of her head. "She's the one who saved that kid back at the tunnel." He remembered back at the rooftop. The boy said something about a tattooed quirk on his hand had summoned her. What her name again? "She told me she's a heroic spirit. A Saber class servant. She even asked me if I was her master but even she told me that command seals are not quirks." Servant, Saber. All Might recalled as he continues to observe the heroic spirit she claimed herself as. Was she looking for the boy and somehow came across here? Is that girl truly a hero of old? All Might wasn't the only one observing the girl. Several civilians began to take note at the new arrival. Most are recording videos and taking pictures at the unknown hero. "Hey. Who is that girl? Oh wow. A real knight. Is she another new hero? Did you see how she swiped the villain away like she was holding an imaginary sword?" The servant turns around to see if any of the people behind her are safe. Once she confirms that the people are unharmed, the knight shifts her attention towards the sludge villain in front of her. Guard the rest of the civilians. Saber ordered the other pro-heroes. Both her hands tightly holding her sword sheathed in invisible air. I shall fight this monster. Wait a minute, what do you think you're doing? You're not supposed to be here. Saber quickly launched herself before Death Arms could protest. Sprinting towards the sludge villain as it threw more of its slimy tentacles towards the knight. You're not getting the jump on me again. The sludge villain shouted. However, the villain grew more frustrated as Saber slashes away the green goop like it was nothing. Its attacks did nothing to stop her movements. Damn it. The sludge villain cursed. Throwing a large fist towards her. Saber, not stopping the slightest, swung on her left slash. A gust of pressurized wind dispelling the large-fisted slime easily. Nearing at the close distance, Saber pointed the tip of her invisible sword and thrust forward. Intending to skewer the sludge villain and use invisible air disperse the slime once again. Only for the tip to suddenly stop dangerously close at a face appearing from inside the villain. Boom. An explosion burst from the boy's hands, covering both Saber and the sludge villain in a huge smoke. The servant backflips out of the smoke unharmed and back to where the rest of the pro-heroes and bystanders are standing. The Saber-class servant frowned as the smoke fades away to reveal the same boy struggling to break free from the sludge villain. This isn't going to be easy. Meanwhile, Izuku Midoriya is slowly strolling along the streets. His mood is at an all-time low. The quirkless loser is silently reading his notebook, going through each page until finally turning the page on which his broken pedestrian wrote his signature. It's not wrong to dream, kid. But sometimes, you have to learn the reality of that dream. Even All Might said it. Izuku tries his best not to cry. Despite his best efforts, deep down Izuku already knew that such a dream is impossible. Deku is just too blind to get the real picture. The green-haired boy takes another look at his left hand. Stupid tattoo. Izuku frowned as he gazes bitterly upon the red marks etched on the back of his left hand. What's the point in having this if it's just going to act as a glow in the dark night light? After all, Saber said it herself. Command seals are not quirks. Izuku would have been fine as quirkless and delusional if those red marks hadn't showed up and screw around with his dreams. Wait. Oh, crap, I forgot about Saber. Izuku went into panic mode almost immediately. He had completely forgotten that he had left Saber when he went after All Might. Quirk or no quirk, Saber did say he was her master. That meant that the servant is his responsibility. She couldn't have gotten far right. I mean, she was looking for me after all. Doesn't she have someplace to stay? Cause there's no way in hell I'm going to let her. Boom. Izuku turns to see that a crowd of people are gathering at the entrance to the shopping district, eager to see the fight between heroes and villains. However, Izuku doesn't feel eager to watch the fight anymore. What am I even doing? Izuku slowly walks towards the crowd. What's the point of even watching this? The quirkless Deku already knows it's pointless to take any more notes. He might as well take a small peek and go home. When Midoriya did take a peek, his widened eyes spotted a certain blue knight fighting against a familiar blob monster. Saber. Izuku gasped as he helplessly watches as his servant defends herself against the sludge villain's attacks. Did All Might let him go? Izuku thought, this shouldn't make any sense. Izuku was sure All Might had caught the villain. Wait. When All Might transformed, the bottle wasn't even on his pocket. So, if the bottle had flown out just as he was flying, then that would mean it's all my fault. A whisper spoke from Midoriya as he watches the ongoing battle between Saber and the sludge villain. Damn you. Hold still. The sludge villain shouted in frustration as it tried to swat the servant to no avail. Meanwhile, Saber was skillfully dodging around the villain's attacks and parrying its gooey hand whenever it got close to the crowd. When the servant leaped to avoid the sludge's horizontal swipe and charged towards it, the sludge villain suddenly exploded in flames, blinding Saber for a bit and allowing the green slime to throw a punch towards the distracted servant. Yet, Saber somehow managed to quickly recover just in time to block the green fist. And despite being pushed back, Saber still held her ground as her metal boots are planted firmly as it was dragged on the pavement. When the pushing came to a complete stop, Saber then begun her counterattack. Hi! Saber shouted as she swung her invisible weapon hard, knocking out the slime and splattering it across the district. The Saber servant calmly walked towards the villain when she suddenly felt her left foot tugged onto something. Saber looked down to see her foot got stuck on the green slime on the ground. Seeing its chance, the sludge villain threw its large slimy tendril towards the knight. Splat, guh. This time, the sludge villain was successful in knocking Saber down. Ha! I got you now. Izuku covered his mouth with both hands to stop himself from screaming as the sludge villain hauls the caught Saber. She felt herself being dragged and immediately struggled as the slime envelops her whole. The other pro-heroes rush in to grab and pull Saber out of the sludge. Don't worry, we're coming for you. But before they could stop the villain from taking its next hostage, the green goop wrapping around the servant suddenly expanded like a bubble. And like a balloon popping, the green bubble exploded as pressurized air burst out, leaving Saber unharmed and clean of the algae stuck on her body. Courtesy of her personal skill, Mana burst. How annoying. Saber stood back up. She knew that she could easily end this creature. If only the boy she was trying to save would stop causing these explosions, Saber would have already pulled him out from its grip and slay the swamped beast. Now you and I both know that what we're doing is getting us nowhere, girl. A grin formed across the sludge villain's face. So how about we make a deal? I'll let go of this kid I'm holding if you let me have your body instead. Don't worry, I won't kill you. We'll get along real well together. Completely ignoring whatever the sludge villain has to say, Saber swings invisible air at the villain hard, fully intent on cutting the boy free. Even the new girl is having trouble with the villain. Why aren't the other heroes doing anything? They're just standing there. Well, the villain did grab a middle schooler. Hey, wasn't that the same guy All Might was chasing? No way. All Might is here. Yeah, I saw All Might earlier too. If he's here, why didn't he come to help the heroes? No. Midoriya watches the scene from the back of the crowd. It's all my fault. If I hadn't wasted All Might's energy, none of this would have happened. I'm sorry. Just hang on a bit longer. Saber, you would never have to go through this if it weren't for me. Don't give up. A hero is going to come and help. Izuku stares at the sludge villain, his eyes noticing a familiar face getting muffled by the slime. Midoriya quickly recognizes who the villain is taking hostage. Saber had jumped back after avoiding a hand slamming on the ground. Her patience has reached past its limit. Enough of this already. If Saber cannot rescue this boy, then she would have had no choice but to end this now and eliminate the threat immediately. Thus, the servant reels her arms back, gathering the wind around invisible air. Oh, Wind King. Saber just need to adjust the right amount of pressure to this attack. Too much and the hostage will be blown away. Too little and the sludge will regenerate. A mighty whirlwind forming around the blade began to grow in size. Strike. No. Get back here, you idiot. The windy vortex suddenly shuts off, the pro heroes present, All Might, and the sludge villain was suddenly caught off guard at this unexpected turnabout. Saber was about to turn around to see the commotion when all of a sudden, another figure rushes past her vision, and her stoic visage quickly fell apart. The servant's eyes widened in complete horror as she gasps at the sight of a familiar boy in green hair, bearing the command seals on his hand, sprinting straight towards the sludge villain. Izuku. What is her master doing here? The kid is here. Deku. Even Midoriya himself had no idea why he's even doing such a thing. What am I doing? Why am I running? Why can't I stop? Midoriya is panicking. He can't even control his legs. No matter what he was doing, the terrified boy just can't stop. You're dead meat, kid. The sludge villain throws its arm at the middle schooler. However, Midoriya threw his backpack at his eye, blinding the sludge villain as its arm missed. The arm was then cut off by the Night Flash stepping beside the running middle schooler. Kakin. Izuku calls out to Kitsuki as he finally got close to the villain. What the hell? Why are you here? Kitsuki breathed as his mouth was free from the slime. I don't know. My legs. They just started moving. Izuku replied, recklessly clawing the sludge off. Izuku. Saber closes in on her master to grab her free hand on his shoulders. Izuku, stop. It's too dangerous for you to be here. Turn back. His servant desperately demanded as she tugs on his clothing. No. Izuku shot back, clawing even more frantically than before. Kakin needs help. I can't leave him here, Saber. I have to save Kakin. Izuku, you don't understand. Her master had no idea how much danger he placed themselves in. Servants and masters are bound together through their command seals. If a master falls, the command seals they bear will also expire, and the servant they forged a contract with shall depart from this life. Don't you see? Saber pleaded, her grip on his shoulder tightening. If you die, I'll disappear as well. Midoriya hesitates a little while. The reveal that it won't be his life at risk brought Izuku pause. And yet Izuku Midoriya continued to try to save his friend. He tried to save his friend, despite knowing the danger he was putting Saber and himself in. He had to try to do something. But despite being afraid, despite being terrified of his own death, Izuku Midoriya was smiling, despite the tears and fear etched on his face. I don't want Kakin to die. Izuku. Artoria Pendragon fell silent, her arm letting go and slipping from her master's shoulder. Seeing Izuku's desperate attempt to save his friend gives her a reminder of a certain Magus acting as her previous master before Izuku and falling in love with said master before the ending of the Fifth Grail War separated them both. Kitsuki Bakugo also heard what Deku had said too. But rather become touched by Izuku's words, an uncontrollable fury had risen instead. Deku trying to save me. 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 The raging Bakugo thrashes with such ferocity that the sludge villain is starting to lose its hold on him. Damn it, stew up. Even All Might heard Midoriya from the back of the crowd. His muscles growing back as he forcefully activates his quirk. I have to do something. Just a little longer. The sludge villain raises its arms. And you're both done for. Another of Saber's personal skill instinct alerted her of the danger. With her enhanced strength she yanks Izuku out and wraps him under her arms in order to take brunt of the swipe on her back. They'll both die if we don't hurry. Every pro hero rushes in a desperate attempt to intervene despite the distance. However, one hero has already closed in. Slam, an explosion of dust covers the entire district. A moment later, the dust slowly dissipates, revealing both the servant and her master unharmed. I really am pathetic. The two suddenly felt like nothing had happened to them. They both turned and look up to see All Might back into his muscled form and taking the damage instead. All Might. Izuku and Saber blurted out. The symbol of peace is holding the sludge on his right arm. I thought I told you the traits to make great champion. But I see now that wasn't living up to my own ideal. All Might pushes the slime on his right arm away and grabs Bakugo's wrist with his left. Young lady. Hold on to the boy tight. Saber obeys without a word. Flipping her sword in a reverse grip and jamming it deep into the pavement while tightly holding onto Midoriya. All Might. The sludge villain raged. Out of all the pro heroes it has to be him that will get in its way. A pro hero must always be willing to put their own life on the line. All Might reels his arm back. Detroit. And swung hard straight at the sludge villain. Smash. The forceful impact from his punch not only blasts the sludge villain into pieces, but also creates a massive shockwave that nearly blows away the servant Saber as she was holding on to her hidden sword and master tightly despite literally flowing like a flag. The people present on the district were also affected by the powerful wind. A small tornado rose in the middle of the city before suddenly dispersing. The wind has finally stopped, prompting Saber to land safely on the ground. All Might is still kneeling, his arms slowly lowering down. Izuku. Saber quickly checks on her master's condition. Sighing in relief that Izuku is still in perfect health but lying on her left arm unconscious. Saber turns to see Bakugo in a similar position. She then felt wet droplets on top of her head. Saber slightly raises her hand up to see raindrops landing on top on her right palm. It's raining. The servant then looks up to see a hole above the assembled clouds, much to her shock. Did a single punch do this? No way. Did All Might change the weather with a single punch? I can't believe it. All Might saved the day again. Amazing. All Might is simply amazing. The whole crowd began to cheer as the No.1 hero All Might brought peace to the streets once again. The symbol of peace raises his right fist high, causing the cheers to grow wilder. Not even invisible air can cause this much change in weather. Saber looks at All Might in awe. This man certainly lives up to his reputation. Saber wondered if the symbol of peace had enough power to fight a servant on equal footing. Amidst the cheers, All Might turns his head to stare at the unconscious Izuku with red marks on his hand still resting on the knight's lap. Afterwards, the heroes collected all the scattered remains of the sludge. And the villain was turned over to police custody. Izuku and Saber was chewed out for their actions earlier. Izuku sat on his legs keeping quiet most of the time, Saber however. So, you would allow others to stand by and watch villains terrorize the population. I thought heroes were supposed to protect the innocent, not cower away. Hey, you listen here. A pro hero's work is no place for an amateur to play around. This is official government business. You would have been arrested for vigilantism or in worse cases, villainy. Had you caused more damage. Amateur. How dare you. I'll have you know that I am an honorary knight of chivalry. I stand by my code of honor above all else rather than engage in barbarism. They're still going at it. Izuku groaned. He then turned his head over to see Kakin praised for his bravery. You were real brave out there with that quirk. How about considering becoming my sidekick once you become pro? Kitsuki just simply sat there, not bothering to speak. Later. After all that is said and done, the pros surprisingly are willing to look past this incident after recognizing that Saber was a part of Izuku's quirk. Of course, he had to update his quirk before letting them go. Now Izuku Midoriya and his servant Saber are walking back home during sunset. Izuku had a lot of explaining to do with his mother once he comes back. Especially when a legendary hero he resurrected from the dead who also happens to be a girl will be living with them from now on. Shaking such thoughts aside, Izuku turns to face Saber walking beside him. She stopped wearing her armor and is now wearing casual clothes consisting of a white shirt with a blue ribbon, a blue long skirt, black knee-high socks and brown shoes. Saber. Midoriya asked. Are you okay? You look tired. The servant finally answered. Oh, it's nothing. I just used up too much of my energy, that's all. I can remain in this world if I don't use too much of my power though. I might need to replenish my prana much later. Oh. Izuku said. Not that understand anything his servant just said, but prana. Might as well ask about it some other time. So, how do you replenish your prana? Do you have to do something or? There are two ways I can replenish my prana but. Saber hesitates for a moment. Well, it's best that you don't find out about what that entails. I do have a magic core. It might take some time before it activates, but it shall serve as my primary source of mana. Saber then stopped walking, causing Midoriya to stop and turn around to face her in confusion. Izuku. Saber's expression turns serious as she raises her head to stare at him. Tell me, what do you know of the Holy Grail? The Holy Grail. Izuku wasn't expecting such a random question. A relic used by Jesus Christ and given his blood. It was sought after by King Arthur's knights. Galahad, Percival, and Bors. Saber nodded. Yes, I see you are well educated. However, the Holy Grail wasn't just a sacred treasure that grants miracles. It also grants the wishes of whoever achieves it. The very same relic that grants masters command seals and their authority over servants. The moment of truth. This is something her master, Izuku Midoriya, must learn if he is to survive. Long ago, there are 3 Magi families, known as the Tosaka, the Mikiri, and the Ainsburn. They wished to access the place where all knowledge is stored, known as Akasha. Or as all mages preferred calling it, the Root. Thus, they created the Holy Grail to fulfill that purpose. Unfortunately for them, it can only grant the wishes of only one person. And so, the Holy Grail War was born. The Holy Grail War is a tournament held every 60 years. The Holy Grail chooses 7 contestants to serve as masters and summon their own servants, each bearing their own classes. These 7 master and servant pairs will then battle to the death. For each of the servants' death, their soul shall empower the Holy Grail, until the soul master and servant pair are allowed to obtain the Grail, and have their wishes granted. Battle. To the death. Izuku grew pale. Does that mean? Is he going to? We are not fighting in a Holy Grail war right now if that's what you're thinking. The Grail would have informed me if that were the case. Saber frowned. There wasn't a case that a servant is summoned with no Holy Grail war. Summoning a servant before the Grail War could be a possibility, but there is no information of the Holy Grail War when she is summoned to this world. What is going on? But that is not the main issue. Izuku. When I was first summoned here, did you remember when I told you to hold still back then? Oh right, you placed your bare hand on my chest. Izuku grew flustered as he remembered what happened today. That's right, I was trying to look inside to see if you had any unusual prana on your magic circuits. But when I did. Saber hesitates for a moment. Both of her hands curled up into fists. I felt a Holy Grail resonating inside you. Wait a moment, are you saying a Holy Grail is inside me? Izuku starts patting all over his body. As if getting command seals weren't enough. It is as I said. There is a Holy Grail inside you. Saber confirmed, just as confused as her master. I do not know how the Grail was implanted within you. It could be possible that you were chosen to host a lesser Grail. But that would only apply if this world was holding a Holy Grail war. Saber then walks up to Izuku and grasps both of his shoulders. Izuku, you do feel healthy, right? Did you contact any sort of illness? Izuku turns his head away in embarrassment. No, not really. I feel fine right now. Sighing in relief. Saber then lets go of his shoulders. Good. If you feel any sort of fatal sickness, do inform me right away. Deku. Both master and servant turn to see Kaken standing a few feet apart. His form lowered and trembling. Don't think for a moment just because you have some quirk that gives you an excuse to show off by saving me. Kitsuki seethed in anger. To me you will always be a quirkless fraud. How dare you act like a hero? You damn loser. He then turns back and stomps away. I don't owe you anything. Saber frowned at this act of ungratefulness while Izuku was confused. What was that? Well, Kaken did have a point. Sure, Deku summoned a hero of old, but it's not like he did anything right. Just as he was about to continue to walk back home, Saber spoke. Izuku. He stopped to see his servant had walked a few feet away from him and stopped to look upon the sky in front of him. Did she have anything more to say? Tell me. Why did you wish to become a hero? Well, that was unexpected. Izuku considered his next choice of words. Well. Izuku looks at the sky as well. I want to make a world where everyone smiles and lives together happily. For that to happen, people need a symbol. A symbol? Saber inquired, turning her head towards her master. A symbol of peace. Izuku replied. The reason crimes had been lowering is because the citizens had All Might to look up to. Everyone relied on him as the pillar of support. He then turned to face his servant. That's why. I want to do the same things that All Might did. And become the pillar that gives people hope. Huh. So that's what drives you to become a hero. Even though you're quirkless. Yes. Chuckling at his answer, Saber fully turns to face Izuku in amusement. Izuku Midoriya. Is that right? Those are some pretty funny ideas you got. You're kind of crazy. Izuku can only rub his back head in embarrassment. Yeah, it's kind of childish, I know. His face then turns somber. I should have known that such a dream is impossible. There's no way I can become a hero without a quirk. I disagree. Midoriya blinked. Wait. What did you say? Well, it is true that becoming a hero is no easy task. Saber said. But, is it not a worthy goal to pursue? Midoriya fell silent. In my previous life, I was summoned by a master before you. Saber began to explain. His name is Shirumiya. And he too desires to become a hero. In the beginning, there was a fire outbreak in the city of Fayuki. It has killed over 500 people and destroyed 134 buildings. That incident became what is known as the Great Fayuki Fire. Izuku gulped at the number of casualties caused by that fire. The fire killed that many people. What were the pro-heroes doing at that time? Unfortunately, quirks never manifested in that world where I was summoned. Saber replied. There was no one to help. No. Izuku gasped. There were no quirks in that era. But that's. Saber then continued. Lives were lost that night. Only a handful of survivors remained. One of the survivors was my previous master, Shirumiya. Shiru had no memories of his parents, nor of his previous life before the Great Fayuki Fire engulfed him. In the aftermath that followed, Shiru was left dying among the rubble. Until a man named Kiritsugu Amiya dug him out and saved his life. Ever since then, Kiritsugu had adopted Shiru. And had taken residence in Fayuki and lived together for much of Shiru's childhood until one day, Kiritsugu had contracted a fatal disease. Before his death, Kiritsugu told Shiru of his dream to become a hero of justice. And how he once tried to pursue that dream and failed. For every life that Kiritsugu saved, he would be forced to sacrifice another. Despite his failure, Shiru admired Kiritsugu's efforts. And pledged to become a hero of justice in his place. Since then, Shiru perused that dream, despite the impossibility of becoming a hero. Determined to save everyone and ensure to give happiness to all. Even at the cost of his life. Then Saber took a deep breath. Then 10 years after the Great Fayuki Fire. The Fifth Holy Grail War had started in Fayuki, with me summoned as Shiru's servant. Shiru wasn't talented as a mage, and Kiritsugu only taught him the basics of magecraft before his passing. But still, Shiru would never stop trying to save everyone. He had attempted to protect me multiple times, even though he knew that the enemy servants and masters could have easily killed him. He even went as far to befriend an enemy master. Shiru never gave up his dream to become a hero of justice. Even after the end of the war. Izuku. Back when you charged at the villain to save the other boy earlier. I realized that Shiru would have done the same if he were here. You were both similar somehow. Which is why, as long as you do not give up in your pursuit, I believe that you will become a splendid hero someday. Saber finishes with an honest opinion. Izuku Midoriya froze. Twitching when he heard that specific last sentence. You think so? Of course. A booming voice startles both master and servant. Saber turns around to see All Might skid in front of her. I am here. What? All Might. Why are you here? Izuku blurted. How did you find us here? Saber asked. Weren't you surrounded by reporters? Ha 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 ha. The larger man laughed like it was nothing. Running from the paparazzi is like taking a morning jog. Briam All Migay RKG. All Might suddenly puffs back into his puny form. Jai. The servant's eye twitched as she stares blankly at All Might's skeletal form. Saber slowly turns to face her master, who is shaking both his head and hands horizontally while screaming. I don't know anything about this. All Might coughs a few times before speaking. Young lady. The young man has promised not to tell anyone about this side of me. I'm trusting you to do the same. Saber looks between All Might and Izuku for a moment before turning back to the pro-hero and nodding. Good. All Might then focuses his attention to Izuku. Young man. I came here to thank you. And also, to discuss your question earlier. If you hadn't told me about your life. If you hadn't run into that fight. I would have been a worthless bystander watching from the crowd. Thank you. Oh, no. It was my fault to begin with. Izuku said. I wasted your energy. And your time. I'm not done. You told me you didn't have a power. So, when I saw this timid quirkless boy try to save a life. It inspired me to act too. There are stories about every hero. About how they became great. Most have one thing in common. Their bodies move before they can even think. Almost on their own. Izuku Midoriya's eyes shined when he realizes what All Might is implying. His head dropped down in order to control his emotion. For some reason he remembered that his mother apologized to him a long time back. That wasn't what he wanted his mom to say. That's exactly what happened to you, isn't it? Izuku's heart couldn't take it anymore. Tears flowing freely from his eyes, his legs begun to shake. Izuku. Saber rushes towards her master's side, catching him before his whole body fell to the ground. Yes. What Izuku wanted to hear more than anything else. What he wanted to hear the most was, "Young man. All Might finishes his piece. You too can become a hero." Izuku broke down crying. His servant keeping him steady as he clings onto her in tears. "Izuku." Saber whispered. It must be an emotional moment for Izuku if his idol All Might approved of his dreams. Somehow, it brought a small smile to her face to see her master like this. Dreams can become reality. And thus, begins the story of how the master Izuku Midoriya and his servant Saber, Artoria Pendragon, assembled the world's greatest team of heroes. Hero analysis number 14. Artoria Pendragons. Noble Phantasm. Avalon. The Avertistant Utopia. Type. Barrier. Rank. X. Maximum number of targets. 1 person. Izuku's notes. The sacred scabbard of Excalibur, the embodiment of the utopia that King Arthur seeks. And the ultimate defense. Avalon can heal almost any injuries and can even block one for all's full power. Avalon is best used as a last resort. Excalibur. The sword of promised victory. Type. Anti-fortress. Rank. A++. Range. 1 to 99. Maximum number of targets. 1,000 people. Izuku's notes. The legendary sword of King Arthur. Just as majestic as the one I read in stories. Excalibur is the most powerful noble phantasm and Saber's greatest trump card. When used, its power can annihilate almost anything. Truly an ultimate killing technique. Invisible air. Barrier of the Wind King. Type. Anti-unit. Rank. C. Range. 1 to 2. Maximum number of targets. 1 object, person. Izuku's notes. A sheath of wind that can turn Saber's sword invisible and hide its identity. Invisible air can also create powerful bursts of wind which can be used as a ranged attack, or it can be used to create a defensive barrier. The world's most popular hero. All Might. Age. Unknown. Quirk. Unidentified. Ever since his debut on the hero scene, All Might became an instant celebrity thanks to his abilities. As the years pass, the crime rate has been decreased. His mere presence alone was a deterrent to villains everywhere. They don't call him the symbol of peace. It's what he is. And this pillar of justice just said to me. Musatafu, Japan. Young man. A great hero has spoken. You too can become a hero. Izuku Midoriya sobbed uncontrollably. The reason he hadn't collapsed on the floor was because Saber was holding him steady. Izuku. The servant lightly spoke. A small smile spreads across her features. Izuku desperately wanted to hear those words more than anything else. And the hero that was keeping him held in her arms, as well as the hero he admired, did just that. It was more than he could have asked for. Amidst his crying, the symbol of peace spoke once again. I deem you worthy of my power. All Might decreed as he spread his arms out. My quirk is yours to inherit. Midoriya looked up towards All Might and said. Huh? Saber lets go of her master and turns around. Excuse me? Ha. Ha 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 ha. Man. You two should have seen the looks on your faces. Relax, it's just a proposal. Now listen up, boy. This is something you gotta choose for yourself. All Might then points a finger to Izuku. Do you want to accept my awesome POWARQ? A large gush of blood spit out of his mouth. Now Izuku stares at him confused. Wait, power. What is he talking about? All Might finishes wiping his mouth and begins to explain. There are a couple things you should know about my abilities. Journalists usually guess my quirk is super strength, power boost or some other invulnerability. When people ask in interviews, I always make a joke and dodge the question. That's because the world needs to believe their symbol of peace is a natural born hero. But I'm not. As Izuku and Saber would soon learn. There's nothing natural about my ability. All Might finally reveals the truth of his quirk. I wasn't born with this power. It was a sacred torch passed on to me from someone else. Izuku Midoriya gulped, trying to bring himself to speak. Someone gave you this quirk? No way. Yes way. And you're next. I can give you my abilities. Wait, hold on, this is a whole lot to process. It's true that there's a lot of debate to what your quirk actually is. Nobody's able to figure it out, it's one of the world's greatest mysteries. People are constantly talking about it online, but, well, the idea of passing on a quirk and inheriting it doesn't make any sense. I never heard anything like that before. Powers are supposed to be unique to each individual. No one's able to just give someone their power like a present. That's Cassius. Meanwhile, All Might and Saber stood a few feet apart as Midoriya continues to ramble on about quirks or whatever the hell he's talking about. All Might turns towards Saber, hoping for an explanation. Does he always do that? Saber turns her head away. I don't know how to answer that. The servant had just met her master earlier today, and already Izuku is doing something beyond her understanding. Seeing as the kid won't shut his mouth, All Might shouted. Stop nerding out. Wah. Izuku finally shuts up. You have to adjust your reality and accept this new truth. I can transfer my power to someone else. And that's just one facet to my abilities. The No. 1 hero now reveals the true name of his quirk. The true name of my power is one for all. One. For. All. Izuku repeated. The quirk's identity has been finally revealed. Saber also listens closely. Curious about All Might's ability. One person improves its power. Then hands it over to the next person. It continues to grow as it's passed along. This crystallization of power is what allows me to save those who are in need of a hero. That is how One for All's power is used. A quirk that stockpiles power and transfers to the next. Saber comments. This One for All is somehow similar to a magic crest. A bundle of magic circuits sewn together to gather spells. The more circuits that were added into the crests, the stronger its power becomes when it's passed on to the next generation. But why would you choose to give me a gift like that? Izuku asked. His tattoo already gave him an ability to summon a hero of old. But now this time he's going to get another ability. This time from his hero and idol. What if he can't live up to his expectations? I've been searching a long time for a worthy successor. All Might said. And then, I watched you jumped into action just as the rest of us stood idly by. You may be just a quirkless fanboy, but you tried to save that kid. You acted like a hero. Izuku began to tear up again. Geez, seriously. All Might laughed. You got to stop crying so much if you want my quirk, come on kid. He said so much to encourage me. He even told me the secret behind his powers. Izuku quickly wipe out the tears from his eyes. Is this what I've been waiting for all these years? How could I turn him down? After moving his arm from his eyes, he investigates the command seals engraved on his left hand. Another delicate palm enters his vision. He then looks up to see Saber offering her hands to him. Izuku. Saber reaches out to her master. No matter what choices you make, know that I shall follow you until the end of our journey. That is the oath she made as Izuku Midoriya's servant and knight. If her master is to become great hero, then she would be there and guide him towards that goal. Just as her previous master, Shiryu Amiya, once stood by her side throughout the Fifth Holy Grail War. Of course Izuku realized. He has his servant, a heroic spirit that will help make his dream come true. I won't be alone this time. Izuku grabs hold of Saber's hand, with the command seals on his left hand holding on to the servant's own. She gently pulls Izuku up. As he firmly stands on his 2 feet, Izuku looks up to All Might. A fiery determination lit on his eyes. Yes, I accept your power. All Might smirked at his new protege's answer. Heh, good. I expect nothing less. Dagoba Municipal Beach Park, 2 days later, early morning, 10 months before UA High's entrance exam. However, inheriting All Might's power wasn't such an easy task. Izuku Midoriya pulled the ropes wrapped around his hands and body as hard as he could. But no matter how hard he tried, the large refrigerator tied up wouldn't budge an inch. It didn't help that All Might and Saber were both sitting comfortingly on top of the fridge, with Saber happily slurping on an instant noodle bowl. Hey, hey, hey. All Might called. It's pretty comfy up on this fridge, how are you doing down there? But the last of his strength failing, the exhausted Izuku fell down onto the ground. People move these every day, you know, and most of these people don't have any super strength. All Might added. Yeah, but. Izuku pushes himself up from the ground and turned back to look at the fridge behind him. There's an extra 690 pounds with you two sitting on top of it. Nah, I've lost weight so I'm down to 560 these days. The pro hero replied. In this form at least. Izuku then takes a look at all the large piles of scattered garbage littered across the beach. So. Why am I dragging trash across the beach anyway? It's quite simple, Slurp Saber answers while eating. When a person of your stature is warming up, slurp for a beginning of your workout, slurp you should always start slurp at the smallest of basic steps, gulp, gulp. She then finishes by drinking whatever soup and noodles was left in the bowl. Besides, have you looked at yourself in the mirror? All Might asked while taking a few photos in his smartphone. You're not ready for my power. Huh. But I thought you said I was worthy. Izuku cried. Why I'm talking about your body. All Might explained, causing Midoriya to calm down a little. My quirk One for All combines the physical strength of everyone who ever used it into a single hurricane of pure force. An unprepared body can't fully inherit it, otherwise your limbs would literally pop out from your body. Wait, what? Izuku shuddered at the thought of exploding into gory pieces. Oh okay, so this whole trash thing is some kind of hardcore gym workout. And you're my trainers. Izuku turns his head to face All Might, giving him a thumbs up, while Saber leaped down from the fridge. You got that right. But there's another reason. All Might explained. I did an online research yesterday. Turns out this part of the beach used to be beautiful, but been turned into a total mess these past years. I see. Izuku looks around the disposed junk. It's because of the ocean's currents, anything that get washed up from the shore ends up on this beach. People take advantage of that when they're dumping trash here. Now these days, locals tend to avoid this place. The heroes of the present like to show off and catch flashy villains lately. Unlike today, things were a lot different before quirks. Service is what matters, back then heroes are those that help the community. Even if it was kind of boring. The large man explained as he effortlessly pushes his right hand down the fridge, crushing it like an empty can of soda. You will restore this coastline for the entire section of the beach. That is the first step of your path, young man, the path towards being a hero. All this. The boy looks around the piles of junk littered all over the beach. But there's so much. That's impossible. All Might can't seriously expect someone like him to clean up all of this mess. The whole area is a clattered mess of trash piled up together. How in the world is he gonna clean up all by himself? Izuku. The servant Saber interrupted, grabbing the attention of her master. I understand that you wish to enroll in this school called UA High. Saber inquired. What can you tell me about this academy? You don't know about. Izuku paused. Oh right, you wouldn't know about this stuff. That makes sense, Saber was born centuries before the Quirk phenomenon. UA High School is an institution that trains students to become heroes. It's ranked as the #1 hero academy in all of Japan. All Might also went to UA as well, so it must be the best school around. UA High School. Saber muttered quietly to herself. For the last 2 days she had known him, Izuku seems to be an admirer of All Might. That must be why he was training to enter that school and become a hero himself one day. Now that she thought about it, she never had time to think about what she wanted to do for herself. She rarely had time to enjoy life at Fuyuki during the last 2 wars. Now that there was no Holy Grail war to worry about, the servant is now free to live the rest of her third life and choose whatever path she wishes. That leaves only one question, what path should Saber take? Well, the servant is in deep thought. All Might stepped in by giving a thumbs up. You got a lot of spirit, fanboy. But as I mentioned before, summoning another hero is far than enough to qualify as a hero. Heroing isn't easy to do without a quirk. All Might states, whilst staring at the sun posing akimbo style. It's not fair, but that's the reality. And UA is the hardest hero course to get into. So that means that I have to prepare my body for your quirk really fast. Izuku finished. UA's exam is in 10 months. Not to worry, kid. The #1 hero pulled out sheets of written papers from out of nowhere. I got you covered. With the help of my aim to pass American Dream plan. Follow these instructions and you'll have this beach cleaned up just in time. I also took the liberty of detailing every other aspect of your life while I was at it. The young boy quickly read through schedule he was given in each page. Even my sleep is scheduled. If I'm being honest, this is going to be super hard. The larger man whispered. Think you're up to it? Despite the difficulty assigned to him, the boy smiled eagerly. Why yes, sure I am. I have to work way harder than everyone else to get in. So what choice do I have? After reading through the last page. Izuku then turns towards his servant who is still deep in thought. You'll help me with my training too, right, Saber? Oh right, yes, I shall do my part in your training. The Saber class servant replied before becoming silent once again. Her quiet thinking did not go unnoticed by her master. Saber. Is there something wrong? No, there's nothing wrong, it's just, I've been thinking. Saber fell deep in thought for a short moment before affirming her decision. Izuku, if it's not too much to ask, then I would like to accompany you to UA as well. Do you want to go UA too? Izuku said in a surprised tone. Even All Might took notice and paid close attention. The servant nodded. I've been thinking about what I should be doing during my time here. After what happened the last 2 days ago and learning more about what this world has to offer, I was hoping that I could continue to observe your journey. I want to see for myself what it means to be a hero. Is that so? The master of Saber then turns to the pro hero. Saber can come to UA. Is that okay? Well, I'm not quite sure if someone like you can attend hero course. All Might answered honestly, who had puffed back into his skinny form just now and rubbing his chin as he stares closely at the girl. But you do look like you're in the right age to be attending high school. Okay, this might sound personal, but what's your real name? I'm pretty sure that Saber is just some special name given to you. Izuku Midoriya waited to hear her answer as well. Remembering the fact that servants are heroic spirits brought back to life. He wondered what kind of hero the knight contracted to him was like. My true name? Well. Saber hesitates. Though she has no problem revealing her identity as per code of chivalry. A true name is the most vital information that every servant has. Their true name must be kept secret at all costs. For not only will their identity be revealed, their weakness shall be exposed as well. Revealing a servant's true name wouldn't be wise if this was normal Grail War. However, there was no reason to hide her identity if there wasn't a war to be fighting anyway. The Holy Grail Insider Master would have told her otherwise. Very well, I suppose there's no harm at revealing myself. Saber's clothes shift into a bright light before fading into her silver and blue armor once again. If she's going to reveal her true name, she might as well do it with style. Both Master and Pro Hero bask in awe as Saber disperses invisible air, revealing a blade bathed in holy light, attached to a golden hilt with blue markings held in hand. She plunged her sword deep within the sand. With both hands resting atop of the pommel, she stood proudly announcing her name. My true name is Artoria Pendragon, the King of Knights. History remembers me as the great King of Britain, Arthur Pendragon. And the sword I present to you is my most trusted blade. The crystallization of all of mankind's wishes, Excalibur. The sword of promised victory. There was only silence in the middle of the junkyard for a short moment. After a half minute has nearly passed until Izuku broke the silence. Arthur Pendragon. Izuku Midoriya blinked. As in, the King Arthur? Indeed. The once and future king. That is what people have been referring to me these days. The hero who ruled over Britain. The wielder of Excalibur. The leader who drove out the invading Saxons. The one who sat on the round table within the kingdom of Camelot. Izuku, you're starting to talk incoherently again. So that's Excalibur, huh? All Might said as he takes a good look at the sword. It looked beautiful, but he somehow felt that it will only dirty the sword if he called it that way. By the way, isn't King Arthur supposed to be a man? Artoria finished having gotten used to surprise. Yes, I tend to get this a lot. I'm sure that my gender does come as shock, but during my time women were not expected to be king. So, Merlin had arranged for my gender to appear as male for most of my rule. I see. Well then. I guess I can arrange for you to take part in upcoming entrance exam. All Might said in satisfaction. You have my utmost gratitude, All Might. Artoria bowed her head politely. Thank you. And thus, marks the beginning of 10 hellish months of training. 10 months before UA High's entrance exam. Izuku Midoriya. Moves heavy quantities of trash at Dagoba Municipal Beach Park. Izuku Midoriya. Loudly mumbles to himself during class at Aldera Junior High. Musatafu, Japan. Izuku Midoriya. Moves heavy quantities of trash for the whole day at Dagoba Municipal Beach Park. Izuku Midoriya. Requests Inko Midoriya to prepare a balanced diet. 9 months before UA High's entrance exam. Izuku Midoriya. Studies late at night on 3:25 am. Izuku Midoriya. Discusses with All Might and Artoria Pendragon about changing his schedule during training. All Might and Artoria Pendragon. Rushes to Izuku before he injures himself attempting to lift a barbell he found somewhere within Dagoba Municipal Beach Park. Artoria Pendragon. Adjusts to life at the Midoriya residence. Izuku Midoriya. Studies late at night in his room. 8 months before UA High's entrance exam. Izuku Midoriya. Summons his second servant. Midoriya residence, 8 months before UA High's entrance exam. It was in the middle of midnight at the Midoriya residence. A single television screen lights up the darkness inside the living room. All the furniture has been moved aside to clear out for Artoria to draw a large summoning circle at the center. It has been 3 months since Saber lived with Izuku and his mother. It was a bit nerve-wracking at first, having to live with a foreigner. But it didn't take long for Saber to quickly become part of the family after a few weeks. In fact, having Saber here seemed to have a positive effect on her master's mother. Saber. Midoriya, who has been memorizing the script given to him, looks up towards what his servant is doing with curiosity. What exactly are we doing in the middle of the night? Just a simple experiment. Artoria answered nonchalantly while immersed on the preparation of the summoning ritual. The Holy Grail has the ability to connect to Throne of Heroes, where it would receive data on the chosen heroic spirit's identity and summon them as servants for the purpose of fighting alongside their masters in the Grail Wars. Izuku stares at the circle that Saber is drawing. So, what does it have to do with this occult ritual? Every master participating in a Grail War has called upon servants using the summoning ritual. Although there is no Grail War that I have been informed of so far. Artoria explained. But if my hypothesis is correct, with the Holy Grail in your possession, it might be possible to summon another servant into your service. Izuku was stunned when he heard that last part. Wait, you mean I can summon another hero like you? Indeed. Saber answered. Normally a master would have trouble supplying 2 servants at once. Fortunately, my magic core can generate more than enough mana to supply for myself. You needn't worry about supplying your other servant. Archers and casters use little mana from their master, so either these two are recommendable. There is a possibility that her master might summon a berserker. These heroic spirits of madness drain more energy from their masters, so it might not be favorable for Izuku to maintain one unless he somehow has a quirk that provides prana. Worst case scenario that their mad enhancement would cause them to lash out, attacking everything within their sight and potentially kill their master by mistake. She can only pray that Izuku can hopefully summon a servant with a rational mind. It's done. Saber finishes the preparations for the summoning and stands up. She was grateful to All Might for providing her the necessary blood bags. He told her that he got them from a pro hero named Vlad King, whose quirk allows him to control the flow of blood. When All Might asked Saber what she's going to do with that blood, she simply replied that she's going to help Izuku bring in another trainer. Whenever you're ready, please come here. She beckoned her master to come forth. Izuku remained unmoving for a short while. After reading through the script one more time, he then sets aside the paper on the couch and moves to his servant's side. Stand in front of the circle. Artoria instructs her master. Move your left arm forward. Relax your hand. She guides Izuku's left hand. When you're ready, recite the lines you've read. Saber steps back for Izuku to perform the summoning, his eyes focused on the command seals on his backhand. Izuku closes his eyes and slowly takes a deep breath before opening his eyes once again. Izuku begins the recite. Let silver and steel be the essence. Let stone and the Archduke of Contracts be the foundation. Let the heroes of old and new guide my path. Let rise a wall against the wind that shall fall. Let the 4 cardinal gates close. Let the 3-forked road from the crown reach unto kingdom come. Nothing had happened when the ritual began, but then a blue glow surfaced from within the summoning circle, which then turns to green. Fill. 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 Repeat 5 times. Shattered once filled. Saber pays close attention to glowing circle. The feeling of the summoning process makes its presence through her senses. This is it. Saber steels herself. I can feel it, the summoning has begun. I hereby declare. Your body shall serve under me. My fate shall be your sword. Submit to the beckoning of the Holy Grail. If you heed to this will and reason, then answer me this. The circle has started to grow brighter than before. The TV screen is phasing out of control. The lights around the apartment flicker erratically. Izuku watches in awe as the command seals on his hand change from a shining crimson red to a dazzling emerald green. But he still kept going. An oath shall be sworn here. I shall harbor all that is good in this world. And I shall slay all that is evil in this world. From within the throne of heroes, a soul has been called forth. It has been given its identity, its class, and the necessary information. The chosen heroic spirit departs from its eternal rest and begins its new life. From the 7th heaven clad by the 3 words of power. Come forth from the binding circle. O, guardian of the scales. The summoning circle beams a blinding light, followed by a blast of wind erupts all over the living room, causing Izuku to shield his eyes as Saber remains undeterred. His command seals fades back into dark red. Hey. Have I done it right? Izuku asked as he lowers his arms to look at the dust cloud forming around the circle. When it clears, both master and servant takes a clear view of the new arrival. Well. Look what I have gotten myself into. The new voice whistles in a pleasant surprise. A man with spiky bright green hair leaving a single bang hanging on the side of his smirking face. An orange sash has been wrapped around his silver armor and black clothing. A teal-colored tipped spear rests upon the back of his neck with 2 hands holding on to it. Summoned into a world full of superpowered quirks and heroism as a daily occupation is one thing, but imagine my surprise when I found out my master had already summoned a servant before me. His yellow eyes darts around the living room. Wow, not the kind of place I thought I'd get summoned into, though I gotta admit this place sure does looks nice to chillax once in a while. The newcomer then turns his attention to the shorter boy with dark green hair. Oh right. I'm supposed to be introducing myself. The man reaches his arm for a handshake. Servant rider. The name's Achilles. Achilles. Izuku muttered. One of the most famous heroes in all of ancient Greece. Achilles is a great warrior who fought at the Trojan War and dueled Hector to the death outside the gates of Troy. Izuku quickly compassed himself and returned the gesture. My name is Izuku Midoriya. He introduces himself, grasping the Trojan hero's hand and shaking with his own. It's nice to meet you, rider. Izuku Midoriya, huh? Achilles smirked. Alright, kid. I'll be looking forward to working with you. He then sets his sights to the other servant standing by. So, I take it you're the other servant the kid summoned. Indeed I am. The servant of the sword introduces herself. I am the servant Saber. My true name is Artoria Pendragon. It is an honor to meet noble warriors such as yourself, Achilles. The king of knights. Achilles quipped. Man, for the great ruler of Britain, I didn't think you actually be a woman. And no offense really, damn it me and my big mouth. He cursed his own insensitivity. It's one of those times that Achilles remembered that he should be careful with his own words. as something as small as a simple compliment can potentially lead to extreme offenses. As the veteran of the Trojan War would most often painfully find out. The lights in the dark living room was suddenly switched on as the brightness startles the three of them. All eyes turn towards the source. Switching on the lights is Izuku Midoriya, who came from the door leading into the living room. She drowsily rubbed her eyes as if she's been woken up. Izuku, it's way past bedtime already, what in the world are you? Her tired eyes abruptly shot wide as she blinked at the scene unfolding into her. Wah. WH. Who? What is that man doing in our apartment? And what happened to the living room? Wait. Is that blood on the floor? Inko stuttered. Everything has been going crazy these past months. First her son brings in a girl who claims to be some heroic spirit. Then Inko was forced to buy twice the amount of groceries because of her insane appetite. And now this. A satanic ritual. Now this is just getting out of hand. Wait, mom. This isn't what you think. Saber and I were trying to. Izuku was trying to calm and explain to his distraught mother, while Saber and Ryder stood at the back smiling in amusement. Hey, Saber. Achilles chuckled as he turned to his fellow servant. Mind filling me in on this? The Grail informed me everything I need to know, but I got nothing on the current Grail war. Is there even a war in the first place? Artoria nodded back. I will tell you everything I know so far. But first. Her eyes shift down to blood-stained floor. I should clean this place up first. After the summoning, Izuku Midoriya and his mother went back to their respective bedrooms to sleep for the night. Artoria had scrubbed the blood off the wooden floor and moved the furniture back to their previous spots. Now both servants sat across on each end of the table. With Saber explaining everything that has transpired since her arrival to this world. As well as their master's condition. So, you need my help in training the kid to get his body ready for the quirk he's going to inherit from a pro hero. Achilles crossed his arms, and he's only got 8 months until this entrance exam opens. That is the case. Artoria said. Izuku has been preparing his body to withstand the stockpiled power of One for All. I'm not sure if it can supply us the right amount mana we need to maintain our existence. But just to be safe, I must ask you to refrain from using your noble phantasms for the time being. Well, since he has 2 servants, I guess that would make sense. Achilles sighed. But still, a holy grail inside the kid's body. I'm surprised he didn't turn inside out like the rest of the lesser grails. Indeed. That would be troubling. The Saber and Ryder class servants sat in silence. Complimenting the abnormality of this singularity. Neither of them has any idea why they were summoned into this world. And every answer they received would only lead to more questions. Hey, I've been meaning to ask. Achilles changes the subject. Prompting Artoria to listen to what the Greek hero has to say. I've been wondering about this, but did you? Like you know, remember everything that happened during your last summoning? The King of Knights was astounded, never has she ever expected this kind of question. Well. Yes, I did remember my past experiences from the last 2 Grail Wars. I was summoned at Fayuki to fight in the Holy Grail War twice. What brought this up? Oh good, so it's not just me. Achilles sighed in relief. Shocking the Saber servant as she wasn't expecting that the Ryder servant would still retain his memories. Well, I remembered my time on my own Grail War. I was summoned as one of the 15 servants on Triphas to fight at the Great Holy Grail War. 15 servants. But how is this possible? It's a long story. Achilles shrugged. Supposedly, I was summoned to team up with the rest of the servants to go up against another team of servants. With the last servant ruler watching over the Grail War. The 2 servants would then spend the rest of the night recalling their past experiences in their own Holy Grail Wars. 8 months before UA High's entrance exam. Izuku Midoriya and Artoria Pendragon. Introduces Achilles to All Might. Achilles assists Izuku as his training partner. Izuku Midoriya. Studies despite feeling worn out. 7 months before UA High's entrance exam. Izuku Midoriya and Artoria Pendragon. Eats large quantities of food at dinner. Much to Inko Midoriya and Achilles' chagrin. Izuku Midoriya and Achilles. Jogs around the neighborhood late at night. Izuku Midoriya throws up for eating too much dinner yesterday. Artoria Pendragon. Feels even more hungry after eating dinner yesterday. 6 months before UA High's entrance exam. Izuku Midoriya. Spars with Artoria Pendragon and Achilles using kendo sticks. Izuku Midoriya. Struggles to push an abandoned truck in the middle of the rain. Achilles. Helps Izuku by carrying an excavator with one hand. Izuku Midoriya and Achilles. Swims across the beach. All Might. Is swarmed by fangirls in swimsuits. Artoria Pendragon. Orders ice cream from the stalls. 5 months before UA High's entrance exam. Izuku Midoriya. Adds more weights in his dumbbells. Izuku Midoriya and Achilles. Loads heavy stuff into the truck. Izuku Midoriya. Multitasks at school. 4 months before UA High's entrance exam. Izuku Midoriya and Achilles. Piggybacks All Might and Artoria Pendragon across Dagoba Municipal Beach Park at sunset. Izuku Midoriya slowly walks step by step, struggling as he is carrying a large heavyweight muscular man. Achilles literally runs circles around Izuku Midoriya, laughing like a total douchebag as he is carrying a small lightweight tender girl. Musatafu Park, 3 months before UA High's entrance exam. 4 visitors are moving through the park through the season of autumn. Izuku and Achilles are jogging while carrying heavy safe boxes. Izuku is carrying a single heavy safe box, while Achilles is carrying a pair of fridge-size safe boxes. All Might is riding a Segway in his skinny form. And Artoria is strolling through the pavement in her bicycle. You know, I've been itching for good fight these past months since I first got here. Achilles voices his honest opinion, not sounding tired at all despite the heavy load. Hey, symbol of peace. Is there any big shot villains out in the city I can beat the crap out of? I wouldn't run around like a vigilante if I were you. All Might said as he turns his head to where the servant is jogging behind. You can get incarcerated just by acting on self-defense. Though I am willing to follow the law as long as it aligns with my code of chivalry. However, Artoria added as she rode her bicycles on the side. I have already seen how powerful and unique each quirk can potentially be. What's the point in having special powers if they're not allowed to be used to defend themselves? All Might had to agree, the young lady did make a solid point. Who knows? Maybe it's for their own safety or they're just stopping people from making unnecessary damage. Man, it sucks that I can't go out without a hero license. Achilles eyes in disappointment. Hey kid, what do you think? He turns towards his master only to find that I'm starting to slow down. Kid. Once Achilles takes a good look, he notices that Izuku is making a pained expression. His breathing getting heavier and heavier until he suddenly drops dead on the ground, completely unmoving. The 3 of them stops what they're doing once they discover Izuku had collapsed. Oh shit, kid. Izuku. The Saber and Rider servants rush towards their master's side. All Might steps out of his Segway. Hey kid. Come on, talk to me. Izuku, are you alright? Stop moving too much. Artoria and Achilles has been checking on their master's condition. Izuku is still breathing fine, but his body is long past the point of exhaustion. Hey, what's gotten into you? You only got 3 months left. All Might calls out to the exhausted Izuku. Are you going to give up after all this work? Do you want to stop and take it easy? Izuku shouldn't reach this kind of fatigue this fast. Unless the aim to pass American Dream Plan was created specifically for young Midoriya. It was supposed to smoothly progress towards the exact exam date. Achilles, have you been overworking the poor boy? Hey. Don't point fingers at me. It was his idea. Achilles defended. The kid won't stop whining about getting some extra training. Izuku isn't like us, Rider. Artoria frowned at Achilles' recklessness. Our master can't push himself as hard as you can. I can still keep going. Their argument stops when they heard Izuku's tired voice from the ground. The drained boy struggled to push himself up. I have to keep going. Izuku, please stop moving. Artoria gently pushes him down. You'll hurt yourself if you keep pushing too hard. Let's just stop for the day and take a rest. But Izuku only pushes her away. No. I want to keep going. Or I won't stand a chance against the other applicants. I don't want to just get into UA. I want to excel. I want to be like you. The 3 heroes sat in silence. Izuku barely managed to push himself up by sheer willpower. I want to be greatest hero in the world. Just like you guys. Izuku finally raises his head. A fierce determination burned through his tearful face. So, I'll keep on trying. Until I got what it takes to do that. They were all stunned by his declaration. Unable to reply to such bravery. Izuku. Damn, that kid sure got balls. Got to hand it to the boy. He's given a lot of thought to the future. All Might suddenly transforms into his superpowered muscle form. Startling Achilles and Artoria as he hoists Izuku by the collar. That fighting spirit is what I like about you, fanboy. All Might applauded. Though I do get your concerns. But not to worry. We shouldn't be rushing progress. But we can get you back on track. Listen up, everyone. All Might announces to the 2 servants. It's time to make some grand changes. And so, with the symbol of peace, the hero of the Trojan War and the King of Knights working together, the 3 heroes manage smoothly progress Izuku Midoriya's training regimen. Soon after 3 months have passed, the day of UA's entrance exam has finally arrived. Dagoba Municipal Beach Park, early morning, the opening of UA High's entrance exam. At the near time of 6 a.m. in the morning, All Might had picked up Artoria Pendragon from the Midoriya residence and now are driving his truck on the way to the beach. Once they arrived, they were soon greeted by Achilles waiting for them in the parking lot. Wearing grey hoodie and black joggers with an orange beanie on top of his head. Hey guys. Achilles greeted. You two are just in time. All Might was the first to leave his truck, followed by Artoria. Morning. The pro hero, wearing his dark blue trench coat and short grayish blue scarf, greeted back. So, how's young Midoriya doing? Kids cleaned up pretty much everything on the beach. And just as the sun starts to rise, the two men waited for Artoria to catch up. After closing the truck, the servant Saber approaches the duo, carrying Izuku's backpack and one large handbag. She still has her white and blue clothing on, but this time she's wearing a white winter blazer with a long blue scarf wrapped around her neck. Good morning, Rider. Artoria greeted. Where is Izuku right now? He's over at the beach. Achilles pointed his thumbs back. Trust me, you wouldn't believe what the kid did back there, Saber. All Might and Artoria walked to where Izuku Midoriya is located, but when they did arrive, they've come across an unexpected sight. Standing on top of the mountain of trash is the shirtless Izuku Midoriya, roaring at top of his lungs as hard and loud as he can muster. But the biggest surprise of them all is what's become of the beach. The entirety of Dagoba Municipal Beach Park was completely devoid of all junk. No way. Young Midoriya did all this. This assignment succeeded beyond expectations. He even cleaned up outside the area he was told to clean up. It's so clean. Even Artoria is breathless. This beach looks like it was brand new, not a single piece of trash anywhere. That's right. Kid's done that all by himself. He didn't even ask for my help, not one bit. Achilles said. Seriously, this kid is getting more interesting by the day. He always knew there was something special about his master once he laid eyes on him. This is. The sheer amazement causes All Might to beef up. Freakin' awesome. Izuku was about full off the mountainous garbage when All Might catches him faster than the eye can see. It didn't take long for Artoria and Achilles to catch up as well. Well done, young Midoriya. All Might smiled on proudly. Giving Izuku's servants time close in to check on their master. All Might. Saber. Rider. Midoriya beamed drowsily. I did it. I finally finished everything. Indeed, you have done well, Izuku. Artoria nodded in approval. Izuku, let me tell you that you were off the hook out there. Achilles chuckled. I gotta say, I'm impressed. I knew you had it in you, but this is beyond. They all helped Izuku up. All Might takes out his smartphone and shows the screen to him. Look, it's you. Crying 10 months ago. Now look at yourself. On the screen, Izuku looks like a weak crybaby 10 months ago. Now, Izuku is ripped and his muscles are beefed up for whatever challenge is thrown at him. There's still a long road ahead of you before you can inherit my full power. But it's starting to look like you can do it. Did I deserve it? Izuku looks at his own trembling hand. I couldn't made it this far without you guys. Tears formed up between his eyes. You really are the best. Ha ha. It's way too early to shed the tear fest right now. Achilles wrapped an arm around Izuku's shoulder. Izuku, it's your hard work that won this great victory, be proud of what you accomplished. Artoria grabs a handkerchief from her pocket and wipes the tears from Izuku's eyes. Now, for your reward, Izuku Midoriya. All Might pulled out a strand of his hair and presented it to his successor. Someone once told me. There's a difference between receiving this gift out of sheer luck or by hard work. Take that to heart, young man. You earned this power by your own merits. Not by anyone else. And so, Izuku Midoriya held out his weak quirkless hand. And grabbed the future. Eat this. Hero analysis number 14. The Swift Hero. True name. Achilles. Class. Rider. Alignment. Lawful neutral. Parameter. Strength. B. Endurance. A. Agility. A. Mana. D. Luck. D. NP. A+. Class skills. Riding. A+. Magic resistance. C. Personal skills. Battle continuation. A. Bravery. A+. Affections of the goddess. B. Divinity. C. Noble phantasm. Troya's Trigoidia, anti-army. A. Dromius Cometes, anti-unit self. A+. Andrea's Amarantos, anti-unit self. B. Diatricon Asterlonk, anti-unit. B+. Achilles Cosmos, barrier. A. Izuku's notes. Rider wasn't kidding when he boasted that he's mankind's fastest hero. Rider is one of Greece's strongest warriors, whose skills are said to rival Heracles. Even Saber admitted that Heracles was almost too powerful for her to handle by herself. But despite his awesome power, he has 3 weaknesses. 1 number, his noble phantasms drains too much mana. 2 number, his only weak point is on his heel. 3 number, well. Rider won't tell me what his 3rd weakness is. That's it, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. With that, take care.